Hello and thank you for being with us once again on the road to Beijing. As the start day looms, organizers took an extra special delivery this week in anticipation of the 3,000 medals to be awarded during the competitions, each embellished with jade, a stone of particular significance in the Chinese culture, where it is often referred to as the imperial gem, symbolizing beauty, nobility, strength and immortality. And the medal winners, obviously the Chinese hope to deliver to the home crowd and dominate the podiums. And a long list of stars puts them in a good position to do just that. One of the nation's darlings is Liu Xiang, defending Olympic champion in the 110-meter hurdles.
He's an icon in China, Liu Xiang, an Olympic champion who in the past has broken the 110-meter hurdles world record. Now, he's China's most popular athlete, ahead of basketball's Yao Ming. Not just for his records on the track, but off it. The lanky Liu recently paid for the surgery of these elderly people.
You know how expensive medical treatments are today? I just wanted to say thank you to Liu Xiang and his trainer Su Haiping, and I thank Liu Xiang's parents for having brought up their son in such a good way.
Born in Shanghai in 1983, Liu Xiang belongs to China's one child per household generation. Kids often labeled spoiled and selfish. But the now 24-year-old disproves the myth. First off, he's self-sacrificing in his training. And he gives generously to his teammates on the national team, shelling out 100,000 euros to cover their insurance costs.
For me, it is important to think about other people. It's not because you're a champion that you become untouchable. And I feel that it is essential to commit to the well-being of society.
After the Sichuan earthquake, Liu was there again. Of all the sporting figures at this ceremony, his check's the biggest, 350,000 euros. And after losing his world record recently to Cuba's Darren Robles, Liu's aiming to be on song come the games.
High hopes and high expectations similarly for the Australian swimming star Leisel Jones. Throughout her incredible career, so far she has amassed a huge collection of world records, but no Olympic titles as yet. Leisel hopes to rectify that in Beijing, insisting mental strength is what counts most in the pool.
Representing Australia, Leisel Jones.
When she steps up on the Olympic podium, Leisel Jones never smiles. Athens 2004, the Australian swimmer was nearly pouting despite her silver and bronze medals, just not good enough for her. One of the world's greatest swimmers has always been just a few strokes away from gold during the Olympic Games. And yet, age 22, Jones has right around 15 world records under her belt. Her winning streak started in 2000 when at 14 she won 2 silver medals. Everyone in the sports world knew her name, but she wanted more.
Between 14 and 18, being a young girl, you're sort of learning a lot about yourself, and it was a very tricky time and very difficult to deal with the pressures of swimming. And now between the ages of 18 and 22, I've sort of just grown as a person.
Swimming taught her discipline. The adolescent grew with each lap and focused on technique, but outside the pool, life was hard. Family arguments and depressions cascaded until her father learned he had cancer. That's what led them to kiss and make up. In Melbourne in 2006, Jones beat 3 world records.
Yeah, I'm really nervous. I had a really tough time through warm-up. My stomach was just churning. In the third 50, I actually felt really sick because I was quite nervous, and that was a little bit tough, and I've never really had that at a trials, but throughout the race, you probably hear me saying, this is my office, I know what to do. This is my office, I know what to do. So I just trusted myself and let it go.
A year later, Melbourne 2007, the Australian swimmer won 4 gold medals in the World Championship. A technical genius, but her weak point is her morale. Never very strong ahead of the Olympics.
This is my 3rd Olympics, and I think just mentally just preparing very differently, and I'm just really there to absorb the experience. And I mean, being the favourite makes absolutely no difference at all, because it tends to be the favourite may not be the person who wins on the day, it's the person who's the best prepared.
It took time for Jones to find her bearings, but she says she's now stronger than ever. Her goal is to live up to her dream, finally grabbing the gold and making it onto the highest step of the Olympics podium with a smile.
For some insight into the importance of mental fitness, I'm joined here in the studio by Meriem Selmi, psychologist at INSEP, Paris Sports Institute, where French athletes are undergoing preparation for the Games. Thank you very much for joining us. I say undergoing preparation. How exactly do athletes train mentally to deal with pressure?
Well, in fact, the main idea is for the athletes to be in the best conditions, serenity-wise. They also keep in mind what makes up sport is they have to have enjoyment, even though often we don't want to hear the word enjoyment, because enjoyment is confused with letting up or losing focus. So this means they have to be focused, ready, but serene.
And forget this enormous pressure. Athletes come and consult you in your office before the game, and you can see that the pressure is increasing a month ahead of the games. Do you feel the stress? Do you feel they're capable of dealing with it?
I can sense they have pressure, they have the spirit of competition, concentration, everything that's necessary to be ready for the Olympic Games. Not just the athletes, but also their trainers as well.
National technical trainers.
That's right, because the issues are so high, and it's an amazing opportunity for them, and it just creates conditions where they're vulnerable and fragile, because everyone knows what they have to do. So many things that impact their readiness. It's not just the physical, technical training, everything else that could come in there and sort of short circuit. Even a dispute or an argument with, I don't know, this is a bit of a oversimplifying, but a fight with a best friend, a partner, a spouse can in fact be unbearable in those conditions, because it's a specific, particular situation.
We all remember Marie-José Pérec, who fled from the Sydney Olympic Games because of media pressure. She didn't attend the final.
Well, I'm not sure if it's just the Olympic Games for Marie-José Pérec. I don't know her personally, but just generally speaking, athletes, in fact, first of all, they're people, they're human beings, and they become, this is the paradox of high-level athletes, of top-level athletes, they become very strong, yet fragile and vulnerable at the same time, because they're so focused, so concentrated, so absorbed. And everything becomes so important for them to succeed in their performance. And just one single element or one thing that wasn't handled prior to that could come back, in fact, it could come up at the wrong time and create a clash.
Sorry to interrupt you. Last question. It's probably even harder for the favorites like Marie-José Pérec, Laure Manodou, because we want them to repeat their past performances. It must be even tougher for them. It must be even more difficult to deal with the stress.
Well, let's say that's additional pressure for those athletes, because they do need to be protected from all of that pressure, because again, they're human beings, they're people. And if, say, everyone thinks that they're obviously going to win, well, that just really has to be managed. It's not easy, whereas you can never, ever really know who's going to win. And that's what Leisel just said.
Meriem Selmi, thank you very much for joining us. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us on the road to Beijing on France 24.